I can't see. Sit all the way down. Okay, can we get started? I can't believe it, but this is our last meeting. Sigh of relief. We have a visitor from the chairman's office to start things off, Phil Verveer, the eminence grise in the chairman's office. Welcome.
Yeah. On behalf of the chairman, I just want to take about 60 seconds to express our congratulations to the committee and our gratitude to all concerned for the work that's been done. We knew as soon as we saw the legislation that the committee was going to be asked to undertake a very complex task on a very tight deadline. And as I understand it, by the end of this meeting, you will have accomplished that task, and you're certainly all to be congratulated for that. I want to thank each and every one of the members of the committee. I know that this is a kind of activity that is in addition to your other obligations, and a great deal of thanks is due to each of you and to the institutions that you represent for making the time and resources available, including, as I'm sure is the case in many instances, other of your colleagues who have assisted you with the work that you've done. So we're really very grateful for that. And finally, I should be very clear about this. We are extraordinarily grateful to Cheryl Tritt for her service chairing this committee. Chairing a federal advisory committee is a remarkably difficult task under the best of circumstances, and given the deadlines and the complexity of these issues, this was far from the best of circumstances. So we're very indebted to Cheryl, who, when her name first surfaced as a possible chair of the committee, the chairman and others associated with the effort were confident that she would successfully lead it, and she certainly has. One other expression of congratulations and thanks goes to our federal representatives, Brendan and Nancy, and the other FCC officials who have assisted with this also have performed extraordinarily well, and the chairman is really grateful to them for that. So once again, thanks to all of you. We look forward to seeing the product of your work, and I can assure you it will be studied with very considerable interest here at the Commission. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Phil. Appreciate the kind words. Okay, why don't we just get right to it?
Should I take roll?
Oh, roll, yes. Can't forget that.
I'll take roll real quickly. Brendan isn't able to join us in person today, but he is on the phone, I believe. Brendan, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Hello?
Great. Anybody else on the phone, if you'll take yourself off mute so that you can answer when I call your name. Steve Delac. Brant Candelore.
Yes, present.
Great. John Card.
Card.
Matthew Clark.
Present. Present.
Bob Klein. Adam Goldberg.
Present.
Mark Hess. Brad Love. Kenneth Lowe. Andrea Avila. Mark DiPietro. John Godfrey. John, are you on the phone?
He might here. Yep.
Okay, great. Jay Rawls.
Present.
Simha Sethmaravan.
Yes, I'm here.
Great, thank you. Brent Smith.
Present.
Dr. Weber.
Present.
And Robin Wilson. Robin, are you on the phone? Okay, he may be late joining us.
Sir, I don't think you called my name.
Also, Mark
Milo,
Becker.
so
But I'm here
sorry.
anyway. I'm here
Milo
anyway.
Medine.
Yes, okay. Just for the official record.
Yes, thank you.
So we're going to have a presentation of the summary report. Jay and Milo have been working overtime on this, and I think they've put together a good product, but I'll let them explain what they did and how they did it.
Thank you. I don't want to start this off as an Oscar reception speech, but there are a lot of people to thank, and I'd like to start there. I'd like to thank Cheryl, our chair, and all the work that you did as well, so you were right there with us the whole time. Brendan Murray and Nancy Murphy are designated officers. Committee members, obviously, their alternates. John Kiefer, who is in the midst of all this as well. Allison, I've never had to pronounce your last name, and I'm not going to start today. Ralph Brown was a big help. We had a lot of guest contributors and vendors who helped out, and I'd like to thank the FCC support staff here in the building as well. So truly a team effort. I'm not going to read from our summary today, but I will in the beginning read because this is language that we all sort of focused in on because it was really our mandate. So our report is about 6 pages long, but Milo and I are gonna cover. We're gonna split the duties here. I'm gonna cover part. Milo's gonna cover part, and we'll do a very quick summary. So the Stellar Reauthorization Act, or Stellar as we all called it, of 2014 directed the FCC chairman to establish a working group of technical experts to, and I'll quote this part, identify, report, and recommend performance objectives, technical capabilities, and technical standards of a not unduly burdensome, uniform, and technology and platform-neutral software-based downloadable security system designed to promote the competitive availability of navigation devices in furtherance of Section 629 of the Communications Act. And so the Commission turned around and established the DSTAC, a term we've been using long enough that we long ago forgot what it stands for, but it means Downloadable Security Technology Advisory Committee, and the Commission formed this committee of 19 people. We undertook a pretty extensive industry survey of various security systems and the trust infrastructure that's used for the secure delivery of commercial content and multi-channel services, and did a deep dive not only on what exists today and what's going on, but tried to look a little bit towards where things are going as well. There's a section in the report that talks about scope. I'm actually going to skip that and come back to that shortly. But just briefly on how we organized, and I know everybody in the room here who's been living this knows this, but summarizing for others. So the committee broke up into working groups, chunked up 4 working groups, 2 each that worked parallel. So we had working group, imaginatively named Working Group 1 and Working Group 2 that worked at first. And then later we had Working Group 3 and Working Group 4 working in parallel. Working Group 1 presented the commercial requirements of content owners, multi-channel video programming distributors, MVPDs, which is not an easy acronym to pronounce all the time, consumer electronics companies, system equipment manufacturers, and consumers. Working Group 2 presented information on current video providers, distribution architectures, technologies, and platforms. That was actually, I think, completed in April, I believe, or May at the latest. And then we launched into Working Group 3 and 4. Working Group 3 covered 2 approaches for addressing the security elements of a downloadable security system, including performance objectives, technical capabilities, and industry standards. And Working Group 4 presented 2 proposals for handling non-security elements, as well as critiques of each of the approaches of the members of DSTAC. So it's important to recognize that these working group reports, these 4 working group reports, really constitute the work output of the committee. And so this summary that we've written and that we're summarizing right now is really targeted at just summarizing what happened in those 4 working groups. So, since we always like to celebrate successes, there were quite a few points of agreement amongst the committee, and I'll list a couple of those. The committee recognized that the MVPD networks and distribution systems are very diverse and very varied. We have things like DBS that are beaming down from a satellite. We have terrestrial networks. We have fiber. We have coax. We have a lot of different networks, and they're diverse. And we all agree that really you don't want to have to overhaul those networks just to accommodate a brand new security system. Those are extremely expensive systems that you don't want to sort of cause upheaval on. And so that was recognized. None of the proposals recommended a solution that was based on common reliance. It's probably worth defining what common reliance is. Some people may not know what that is. It's the concept that an operator's supplied equipment uses the same security solution as retail devices to receive services, and that was deemed not to be necessary. The proposals acknowledged that it was unreasonable to expect that retail devices connect directly to all the various MVPD networks, which, as I said before, are very diverse in their nature as far as the physical ways that things connect to them, and rather should we sort of unify it around IP protocol, which is a nice common protocol, well established and understood, with specified APIs and protocols, either from the MVPD's cloud or from their network or from something within the home. Let's see. And proposals acknowledge that it's unreasonable to expect that MVPDs will modify their access networks to converge on a single common security system. Sorry, I think I already sort of said that. And there's 3 more. The proposals acknowledge that the downloadable security components need to remain in the control of the MVPD. Security is very sensitive topic, and it needs to be very tightly controlled. It would not be a step forward or economically viable to require an environment in which a retail manufacturer would have to equip a device with RF tuners for cable and satellite and the various semiconductor platforms to support a dozen plus proprietary CAS, and the CAS meaning conditional access systems or encryption systems that are currently in use. And lastly, not reasonable to expect that all MVPDs will re-architect their networks in order to converge on a common solution. So those were some points that we all agreed on. We love to highlight that. And with that, I'm going to talk a little bit about scope. Milo's going to talk a little about scope, and he'll go into the working groups. So one of the scope got a lot of discussion more early on than later. Once we settled down, we'd had some debate on scope, and I think we got into it. But early on, there was some debate about scope, and one of the points of contention was that should the committee be at all focused on non-security related issues, and in light of the fact that Stellar does not explicitly call that out as an objective, rather it focuses on designing a downloadable security system. So some members felt like, for instance, the working group 4 was sort of roamed off of that focus. Additionally, there was some debate, and when I say debate, I applaud everybody. It was very, we weren't clawing each other's eyes out. It was a very civil debate, and we were, really kind of hashing through this in a civil manner. But we debated what actually MVPD service is. And some members felt like an MVPD service is all the various functionalities and features that an MVPD, a video provider, provides to its customers, including the interactive features and the user interface, which they use for their retail offerings to the public and consider protected by copyright and licensing and other requirements, determining how the service is distributed and presented. So that was one of the parts of the debate on scope. I'm going to hand it off to Milo, who will talk about the other part on scope, and then talk about the working groups.
So I would, I think Jay's summary is pretty accurate. I think just to preface, engineers are very good at solving problems, but the definition of the problem matters a whole lot. And so because we didn't have a consensus viewpoint about the definition of scope in this context, that led to two general threads of output. And you can see that in the final working group reports. So we go to so we want to just talk about the
Maybe a little detail on the four working groups.
Yeah, I think we partitioned. If you think about the security as one element, the sort of transport or data plane of how the video was distributed, there were two working group proposals done by the two kind of each of the two threads. One of them uses HTML5 security APIs as the core of how video distribution inside the home and from the cloud works. And those are based on HTML5, which is a defined set of standards, and the associated encrypted media extensions with them. They provide a variety of security interfaces with a set of DRMs, and so that's one approach that was documented by Working Group 3. The other approach developed by Working Group 3 is this sort of virtual head-end system approach, and that proposes that the network security and conditional access systems are provided in the cloud, and that the interfaces between the operator and the device uses a link protection mechanism like DHCP/IP. This kind of model, whether it's a interface that's a local cloud or a remote cloud, creates a standardized. The goal is to create a standardized interface into the home, and again, it's defined in the Working Group 3 report. On a non-security, or what I would personally refer to as sort of the control plane pieces, there's an app-based approach that's provided that's linked to an operator-defined, operator-provided user interface. And that approach was documented by this section of the Working Group 4 proposal. Apps are widely available on multiple platforms. Operators create apps and put them out on a variety of platforms. Typically, they can use the HTML5 interface. There's DLNA and VidiPath as another interface. RVU, which is supported by DirecTV, is yet another interface. And Dish uses the virtual Joey. So there's a number of examples of this that are out there, and they deliver the MVPD service into the home on a variety of different platforms. The other approach outlined is the competitive navigation approach, and this approach empowers consumer electronics devices to create different user interfaces and be able to differentiate that way. It's much similar in terms of the capabilities that consumers have today with cable card. In this system, MVPDs create a set of interfaces, and consumer devices access those interfaces but are free to generate different sorts of UIs and and be able to differentiate themselves in that fashion. There are 3 primary interfaces that would be created here: a service discovery interface, so that you can find the services that the MVP delivers into the home; an entitlement information interface. When entitlements are the sort of what rights are available to that consumer in that home; and then a content delivery interface, which would allow the delivery of live, linear, VOD, and network DVR content streams, all with the appropriate content protection and secure transfer of metadata, which is important for being able to deliver navigation in a way that consumers can actually digest it. So these are the sort of 4 core mechanisms that were defined by the committee. The Working Group 3 HTML security APIs proposal is designed to support the Working Group 4 application-based proposal. The Working Group 3 virtual head-end proposal can work with the Working Group 4 competitive navigation proposal. So there are these 2 streams that run through the report. There are other combinations that are possible. The committee believes that the Working Group 3 HTML5 security APIs could support a competitive navigation proposal as well. And the other combination may work, but we just didn't have enough time to get into the detail of how these systems would be able to relate to each other. And with that, I think I would echo Jay's comments. Thank you to the staff and to Cheryl and to all the members of the committee. It's been an interesting journey, and it's nice to be at the end.
Yeah, that was a masterful effort. As Adam Goldberg said, you have to work long to write short, and I know how many hours you all spent on this. Why don't we open this up for discussion? Does anyone have any comments, general comments, before we shut this down? We answered everybody's concerns? Okay. All right. That's good. Before we close, I would like to give a special thanks to the authors of the working group reports. Without them, we wouldn't be here today, I can tell you. And I also believe their leadership led to the general civility that permeated this proceeding. You were right, Jay. It was a very civil group of people. Jay and Milo did Working Group 1. Bob Klein and Joe Weber did Working Group 2. Bruce McClellan and Adam Goldberg did Working Group 3. John Card and Brian Candelori did Working Group 4. Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you very much. Nancy?
Brendan, are you still on the phone?
Yes, I'm here.
Are you at a place where you can give a few closing remarks?
Sure, yeah.
Great.
First, I wanted to say I'm really sorry that I'm not able to be there in person. But I wanted to send whatever power I have vested in me as a member of the Federal Communications Commission and for the U.S. government. I want to thank everyone sitting there at that table on the phone right now. I know you've worked so hard over the past 7 months. It's hard to believe that the first meeting was canceled because of snow. It was really just a pleasure to work with all of you, and I'm just grateful for all of you. Special recognition to Cheryl, who I know was working just night and day to kind of address any conflicts that came up, and I'm so grateful that this went as smoothly as it did. So again, thanks to everyone. Thanks to all the commission staff who helped out on this, and congratulations. We're at the end.
So, can I say that there is agreement to submit the report consisting of Working Group 1, 2, 3, 4 reports, the summary, to the full commission? Yes. Everyone on the phone? Okay?
Aye.
No, it's not a vote.
Yeah, looking good.
All right. Bravo, we're done. Thank you. Thank you. John, guess we're not done.
Well, no, I waited until we were done. The question is, what's next? Now that the DSTAC has submitted the report to the Commission, is there any information available about when this will be published, what the next steps for the report, when I can tell my non-existent grandchildren to look on the website?
I defer to the Commission.
Not today, but now that we've got the report, we'll move forward with it, and I'm sure you'll be hearing from us.
If I could also recommend, I do PDF normally. As we were working with them in Word format, it was hard. So it'd be good to put those in PDF format if that's okay. Yeah, particularly the working group reports, which are really long. So.
Right. So are those reports ready to submit? And if we take the draft off of this is ready to go too?
Great.
So will you guys take that upon yourselves to get that to Nancy? And you have the other reports?
Yes, we have the other reports.
Okay, good. We're good to go. Thanks. Thank you. Yeah.
Do we need public comments? Or can I move?
Anyone like? Okay, thank you. Appreciate that. Then we're adjourned.